Hey everyone, welcome to the TMS Podcast. And today we have Yuri with us. And so, the today's motto for this podcast is to see how one can build their own startup. And Yuri is building in the education space. So, hope we are going to learn a lot about this space and how you can also build a startup. So, we welcome Yuri to the TMS Podcast. How are you?
Hi, Monica. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I feel amazing. Excited to be here. Excited to share my story. Excited to share how I started and other people can do the same. And yeah, we can start.
Yeah, and Yuri, before starting this, thank you so much for saying yes to this podcast and to
Of
sharing
course,
your.
Monica, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. So take us back a bit. I really wanted to know about you, your story.
Sure, yeah. My story. Oh, that's an interesting question. Like I started my journey probably 4 years ago when I dive more into like programming and stuff because I'm originally from Ukraine, but 4 years ago it was exactly this moment which changed my life when I moved to Czech Republic. It was this kind of really sharp transition into different culture, different language. I started learning coding at that time and decided that I really enjoyed just building stuff. At the time, I was like building some local websites, local stuff, and I was like, oh wow, that's so cool that actually you can build something and people use it. Then I had a chance to work in some local startup, and it also really dramatically changed my directions, how I think about execution and stuff. Because before that, the dreams, the North Star was like big tech, like Google, Netflix,
Yeah.
Amazon. But after working in the startup, I realized that I really like building stuff and I can actually make something that people will use like in scale, like dozens, hundreds, thousands of users. And it really changes this mindset, how I start thinking about my own career in general. And I transition more about from coding and stuff into like startup space. Then I had chance to be a CTO in one startup for a year. We were building like a video marketplace. I really enjoyed this project, but once I moved to US, I kind of step out and focus mostly here on some local stuff. And yeah, I mean, like 5 months ago, I moved to US to study, joined some local startups as well, and super love and enjoying US. So
Yeah, because I also saw your journey is really like inspiring. You work at the YC company as well, right?
yeah,
You work as a CTO as well. So from that, I mean, for me, your journey is like in a very short period of time, you explored a lot of things and then you decided, okay, let's build my own thing. So
okay.
that's really amazing that I really, that is the thing that really excites me about your profile. So what it has been like in the education space and building in the education space?
Really, really interesting because there are so many opportunities which people miss. Educational space is always was hard space to enter because a lot of startups before was trying to kind of change it, shape it, but a lot of them like missing key point. A lot of people trying to build a startup which generally help like to learn, to like just do some stuff, like some tool, but of education is really a great example looking in this into like a games. Why people playing so much games, why we are so addicted to this stuff. And I really like to think about education, to approach education like a game, like in general, like a life, like a game. It's so easy to do something when you can make it like gamifying kind of stuff. So I really trying to like, even when I approach my current startup Aximon, really trying to think about how I can gamify this learning to make it more interesting because education is sometimes can be boring, sometimes can be more interesting than like some other activities, right? So it's really important to make it like interesting, to make it interactive. Yeah, but in general, super enjoying space.
Yeah, that I really like that you thought about how we can gamify the learning because game is something that people are very interested, but it's meanwhile it's very, hard to play as well. So like for me it's hard.
No, I totally understand you. I mean, it's all comes to like the motivation why a person do something, and if you can crack this motive and help people learn something that they can feel like good about them, that they learn, they want to share it with someone, is essentially how you can gamify the education. You're just trying to create better motivation, better system. It can be whether kind of social interactions where you sometimes share your achievements with your friends, like in game, right? You like achieve some like cool level and you like go to your friend and tell, wow, look at me, right? You get this like gold medal or something like this. And if you can make something like this in education, I feel like a lot of people will improve their like in general learning skills.
Right, because right now, what I see when I was also learning some coding languages, let's say, so we have the lead code, we have a lot of these platform that kind of, for me, it's very boring, to be very honest. So it's like, okay, you have to solve really hard problem, and so your mindset is like, okay, you have to put a lot of efforts here.
Yeah, like essentially with current platforms where you want to learn how to code, they are really stuck, to be honest. And I know it probably better than anyone because I tried to learn by YouTube. I was paying for like private academy. I was paying for private tutor. I pay for different courses, different boot camps. And at the end of the day, you always kind of see this, whether it is outdated, whether it is super generic, and whether even like with private academies, sometimes you just stuck and you wait the whole week to get some response. And it is like essentially what comes to like kind of Aximon, what we are trying to change. We're trying to make this kind of educational personalizing approach for people where they always have this 24/7 access to the mentors, this personalized approach, which we're trying to shape to every students to make it more appealing to them. Like in a game, you always want to have something what created just for you, and it's kind of feel unique. So yeah, it's super important in like education to do this stuff.
Right. I agree with that. And Yuri, I just wanted to know, like, what do you think right now in like as you said, there's a lot of content creator that is teaching a lot of things. So I just wanted to like understand. Uh, are you guys focused on, like, Eximon is focused on some particular languages or some particular courses, or just the coding, or anything we can learn there?
Absolutely. So currently in Aximon, there is like Python and web development, but in the
Okay.
future, we are definitely planning to expand, add more features, add more courses, of course. Currently, Python and web development, I believe, is probably two the best, like the most trendy and the most demanding programming languages now, like
Mhm.
JavaScript and Python. And I also feel that they are really beginners friendly. It's easy to start, it's easy to learn them, especially with kind of personalized approach. It's become 3 times easier, really.
Yeah, so what makes Eximon different from ChatGPT or any other is that at Eximon, the things is very gamified. So you will feel like you are playing some game and you are scoring.
Yeah, yes, that's a good question. So we're not just trying to make it personalized and gamify with this kind of mentor, 24/7 AI mentor access.
Yeah.
We are trying kind of to change the game how people learn. Because if you think about coding in general now, actually almost no one really writes the code anymore. You're
Right.
using like code agents. Everyone is using some like wipe coding and stuff. The issue of that is there is like two groups of people. First group is still trying to learn in the old way by learning stuff which you don't need to learn anymore. You don't need to know how to make styles anymore, how to do good UI and front end. And there is like another group of people who just go skip everything and go to vibe coding, and they are really stuck because they don't know foundations, which is super important. They can make like the AI can make critical errors in their code, like some security vulnerabilities, which is a really big issue. What we're trying to make, we're trying to mix both these groups, both these problems, to make where you kind of still learning in this vibe coding environment, but you still learning these super important foundations. Because you cannot, like, we all should forget about the old way how people learn coding. You don't
Right.
need to understand, not even understand, but to learn everything. You just need to focus on foundations and just understand how make a prompt, like prompt engineering, how to make it better, how to understand what's AI do, how to understand which libraries use, which frameworks to use, and different like security measures for this all, and of course like foundations. But it's kind of, the system is changing, and it is why we're trying to be kind of different from all other platforms. We're trying to focus on a new way how people code. People don't code, no one is write all code anymore like manually. Yeah, it is like huge point with Aximon what we are trying to achieve.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Because right now, people are not more focused on, okay, let's learn from the scratch. Let's just, learn the vibe coding, how to write a best prompt. And so, do you have any plan to add the prompt engineering in the Eximon or not?
Oh yeah, like essentially every our course has prompt engineering, like essentially because you learn not just, I don't tell you like you learn by vibe coding, but you really learn this kind of mix of where AI writes a lot of code and you trying to understand it. The whole platform is built that AI writes the code, you're trying to understand it. You still learn the foundations, you still learn how, you still like have a blogs where you need to manually write the code, but we really try to kind of mix this approach, which like give a lot of better results because you can learn so much faster just by see the code, see the result, and trying to analyze it and then build by yourself. And it is just like 10x increase in our students, in our beta testers. We like currently have like 30 beta testers, and we saw like 10x in increase of learning. Just like students who barely can write any lines of code now can like even like from scratch write a really great like foundational code like coding, and they just all beginners.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we all need that foundation knowledge because if we don't know how things are working behind, then we can't make the decision, right? So that's very important. Before jumping into how we can build a startup, so one last question related to the Eximon is that at what stage Eximon is right now? So people can just sign up there or they can use the product, and what's the
For sure.
status?
So currently we have like open beta testing. So we essentially give beta testing access to everyone who wanted. We give like 1 year for beta testers. For first 100 beta testers, we give 1 year free subscription, and they can
Yeah.
use it on even after we add more and more courses. We just really focusing on getting people there, getting feedback. So I would say it's like still early like MVP stage where we experiment a lot, trying to change the courses, add the courses. But like for everyone who want to try it, I always welcome to get the DM and give the access to people.
Yeah, because I was just scrolling through your LinkedIn post, so I saw that you just have to comment XAI and the free access for the first 200 or 100. I forget.
Yeah, first 100.
Yeah. Okay, I'm so excited to see how this education space is going to unfold, and because this is something we all are confused what's going to happen, right? People also wanted to learn, and people also wanted to like it's in a very thin line, like, okay, what should we learn, right? Because
Yeah,
everything is
yes.
changing in this AI era.
Yeah, the old way is like changing so drastically. And as I mentioned before, it's just like really important to still learn and understand the foundations and just, learn what is matter now. You don't need to essentially know how to write like the good UI, good styles. You need to understand the foundations. You need even more focus on the backend parts, on architectures, writing, like prompt engineering in general, and understanding difference between bad libraries and good libraries.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. Like you said, just learn what is important, right? Because as I remember when I started learning coding, we were more focused on, okay, what syntax should be, right? So most of the times goes there. So like if we learn what something that like from that we can build the whole product. I think that's something we should, learn now.
Yeah, and also after this discussion, people might have like, okay, what is like this? We're telling like you need to focus on like the most important, right? But maybe someone cannot understand what is the most important. And the great question is to ask, okay, if I will try to wipe code something or build something with AI, like in Cloud Code or Cursor, if I learn this stuff, can AI do this? And essentially you will have like 99% yes. But then you should ask another question. Okay, if AI will build this, do I need to understand how it works to make a great product? If question is no, probably you don't need to learn this. Like if the question is like, do I need to learn, for instance, styling, how to do styles? The question is no, because AI can do this really well, and you don't essentially need to understand
Right.
styles anymore, right? It's more important nowadays understand the flow of like how the users sign up in your product, how you connect in with database where you like save sensitive data, and if everything is okay in this side, right? So this is important.
Yeah, so the big picture
Yeah.
you need to learn. So that's great, Yuri. So okay, the most exciting part that my audiences really wanted to hear. You had like a lot of experience. Question like how a 20-year-old can also build startup and how they can start.
Of course, yeah. I would say if I would give advice to me when I only started, I would really try to focus on kind of my daily problems and just try to understand them. Essentially, a lot of people trying to go in the wrong direction where they sit, dedicate 2 hours and try to brainstorm or go to ChatGPT and see like some ideas there. Now, essentially what you don't need that a lot. You should just focus on your own frustration. And it is one of the best advice which I heard. Because when you focus on your own frustrations after 1 or 2 months, believe me, you will find something so painful which no one solved. And it is sometimes can be hard to solve or easy to solve, but you can start there. You should just start somewhere and then you will kind of keep improving. A lot of people trying to build success immediately, but it is super hard. You should just focus like on the small problem which you face every day and try to fix that. After you fix that, you'll learn so much in exchange like of doing nothing that you will understand better how to do like another like mini project. So I would approach it not even like a startup, but more like a small project which solves this kind of small problems. I would start from there.
I mean, yes, because you also judge hackathons, right? I recently also judged the hackathon. So the main thing, like you said, don't, look up to the chat GPT, okay, what problem I need to solve. Because in hackathons, a lot of people are solving the same problem, right? And it's, I mean, your problem could be same, but how you are solving that problem, it's very different, should be different, right? But yeah, when you think like you shouldn't, just look up to chat GPT to see, okay, let's solve this and the best hot problem in the market to solve. You just have to explore by yourself. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, just by looking, you would definitely find something, some frustrations, and you can definitely just try to make a good idea is also don't think too big, but think maybe it's like, you know, totally opposite what people expect, but you should think kind of in smaller way just to start, because when you think in kind of this before like building like I will give like a great example. Before building like Aximon, I was really wanted kind of to change how people learn in universities. And I was like, how can I change how people learn in like universities? It is so big question. You
Right.
cannot really change this immediately. And you should always start from somewhere smaller, from some niche, from some smaller problems and try to think how you can build from there.
Yeah. So Yuri, that's exactly right because I think the problem we solve and the problem from which we can profit a lot and make money, that is always boring
Yeah,
most of the time.
yeah, no, I mean, also a lot of ideas, you cannot really make a lot of money by solving some problems, right? Like there are some ideas, some problems for which people are ready to pay and not, but it is okay if you build something even small for what people not ready to pay, it's still experience and it is really great experience. Imagine you build something what people maybe don't pay, but like 5,000 users uses and they like it. And then you can even like in the future startup approach investors with this. Okay, look, I built this stuff and 5,000 people use this and they will be, oh, wow, this is great. Yeah. So it's fantastic. It will be just easier for you to continue from this kind of point.
Yeah, exactly. So Yuri, right now in the AI era, most of the people think, okay, we have a lot of tools from which we can, build at least the MVP, right? So what do you think in this era, in this to today's world, like what the most important skills that founders should know or builders should know, and so they can, build a startup? What do you think?
So that's really a great question. I will have to think about it. Like I know the answer, but I need to think how to paraphrase it. Like nowadays, I really think like when you have the small idea, since like as you mentioned, it became easier and easier to build stuff. There's a huge and really crucial skills is how you grab attentions of people. So it's kind of not even marketing, but like you can say marketing, but maybe like go to marketing strategies, how you like use
Right.
your tools. So maybe like this strategic thinking, I think is really important. Now you have so many tools and it's really important to understand how to use them correctly, right? Because essentially there are a lot of people who think and have some ideas and they wait and trying to build this big picture, build this big product. But essentially what you need, you just go to the cloud code. 1 week, you can easily build some really small version of the product. Then you go to the users and show them, do you like it or no? And yes, this project will be super sucked, but you can definitely understand if there is like a little bit interested, no interested, what they say. Maybe they say, I don't want this, even if you like finish building your like this gold vision and no one will use it. So nowadays it's like easily to build this kind of prototypes, to iterate, to understand what people want and know. And it's harder and harder to grab attentions, to go to market, like sell it to users. So I think nowadays, since it become easier to build, it will be harder to sell and harder to capture humans' attention.
Yeah, I mean that's the skill that I think everybody should know, because this time if you are not visible, then I don't think so you are going to succeed in life. Also, Yuri, I saw that you work as a design engineer and as a growth as well in your YC startup, right?
Yeah.
So how that role helps you in building Aximon, and also what other roles, like I know, like if you are a founder you have to wear a lot of hats, so what other things you are managing as well?
That's a good question. By being in a YC startup, it was fascinating experience because you work with really hardworking people at this first, and they totally have different mindset, different understanding what is speed, what is like iteration. They making decision X faster than like average human being. Like if for you it can take 1 week, for them it can take like 1 day or like a few hours.
Yeah.
Like the first rule, what I learned by being in SF and by being in these YC startups, that you should move as fast as you can. Like you should really think about it that there is like someone in the totally like in other country who working 24/7 and trying to take all from you, and you should
Mhm.
work so hard and so fast to make these decisions, because essentially the startup, the only one advantage it has is only the speed and nothing else. So if you're making some decisions really long, you're already losing. So it was like a really kind of mindset what I took from this experience. And from growth side, it was like as well how like what is the most fastest way to get it to the users, what is the most fastest way later to test it, to sell it, and you should always think about it. If it takes too long, then it is bad approach, you should rethink it. And I mean, nowadays in Aximon, probably in every startup who just started as a founder, you're almost doing everything. Since I'm a solo founder, it is speaking with investors, it is building the product, it is market the product, selling the product. It is also doing some like videos, promotions. So you're essentially doing everything. Even if you have a co-founder, one or two co-founder, you're also doing multiple roles. Sometimes you going to the customer, sometimes you're writing the code, sometimes you just like speaking with investors, right?
I mean, that's really wonderful. I mean, but here a lot of people think, okay, we need to wear a lot of hats. But according to your experience, like you are doing a lot of things, what do you think, like, to learn these skills? So it's all practical, or you have to read some articles, resources, or watch some videos and all, or it just go with the flow?
Yeah, essentially, I think that you cannot like at almost 0%, zero, that you will learn everything what you need to know. You should just start and kind of learn during the process. A lot of this helped me before, since when I started, I was focusing in both side design and engineering a lot. So nowadays it's kind of easier for me to do like like UX UI decisions to making the product like user friendly and so on. But when you started, I would really recommend to take a co-founder.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't recommend to take a co-founder unless you know a lot or it is your second time when you're building something. But for most of the people, I would recommend just focus on one thing, like whether engineering or business side, and find like the totally opposite co-founder and try to work together. It will be much more easier. For me, it's just slightly easier because I spend a lot of the years working in like different agencies. I work in one of the best marketing agencies in Prague. Then I work in one of the best like AI companies in also Prague. And now at YC company, I was a startup managing like as a CTO managing small teams. And through all this experience, I grab all these different skills. And now it's kind of easier for me to do all this stuff. But when you start, you cannot like to learn everything, right? You need to focus on something. So for those people who just started, I would just recommend focus on engineering or like business side and get the co-founder who is totally opposite to you and try to like both work together to achieve something.
Right. I mean, right. I think both the ways are good because if you are doing first time, then you should have, I think, the little bit knowledge of all the areas, so you can understand how you can, just merge all of the things together.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's funny, Like also regarding this way when you can learn engineering on just business, I really
Yeah.
like how YC tell like if you can figure it out how to do engineering, you can figure it out how to do business. So like if you're like thinking like just starting from scratch, if you want to start a startup, by statistics from Harvard, Stanford, from these top universities,
Yeah.
and like in the world, there are more technical founders who build like successful startups than like business founders. They also like take a big percentage. Like if you think about like major,
Hmm.
but like essentially people who just focus on engineering, they ended up better than those who just focus on businesses. I'm not telling that you cannot build a great startup if you just focus on the business, but at the end of the day, it is this kind of the main idea how you execute the product from the engineering standpoint that it will be better than all your competitors at the
Right.
end of the day.
Right, of course, of course. I mean, that's very interesting that I heard that Harvard study. Okay. So, the next question is like, most of the people, like, before starting, they think a lot, they overthink. So, what's your suggestion and how someone can stop overthinking and just start building the things? And what's the, yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, when I started, I also was overthinking. And I was waiting too late. And it is all come like to this kind of experience from YC is that you should make decisions as quick as possible. So
Yeah.
if you like overthinking if I should start this idea or not, you should ask yourself, okay, if I will try and it will succeed, what will happen, right?
Right.
Then you can imagine this. If you like imagine that, okay, if I will build this exact product and it can like change set X amount of people's lives, then you should just start and create this minimal valuable product and try to speak with your customers as soon as possible. It can be like even a really, really small product. It can be like even like a landing page with waitlist and like you can just market it, spend like 3 days to build the website landing page and then spend like another 4 days to market in social media. Nowadays you can do like TikTok, Instagram, easy organic growth to your landing page and see how people react, so what they comment, if they like it, if they don't, if they sign up. If nothing happens, okay, you like understand that probably what you think not resonate with people and you should try something else instead of just thinking like 1 month if I should do this or not. And yeah, there are a lot of like indicators which can impact your decision, but
Mhm.
you should just like start and like learn the process, because if you start and you like even like have this idea which you thinking for a long time, essentially it is a good sign. If you have the idea which that you should have this kind of idea which doesn't allow you to sleep during the nights when you wake up in the morning and you're thinking about it and you're super excited. And if you have this idea, you should definitely start and just build it. If you don't have such kind of idea and you're always like changing them, maybe then maybe it's like this idea are not great. Maybe then you should really trying to focus and dive deeper into this kind of daily problems which you really know if they exist or no. There are also a lot of startups and people who build kind of and trying to solve a problem, but build features. And I call this they build product which is nice to have, but they essentially don't solve any problems. So it's
Right.
really important, to focus on the like problems which really solve something in exchange of just giving you something which is nice to have. It's hard, but you should approach from this way. What is solved? Like if it solves someone's problems or no.
Yeah, so you should be very passionate about solving the problem, right?
Yeah, I mean like if you don't like the industry where you start, you shouldn't probably start, or you should like try to rethink. Because if you like start in the industry where you think there's like a big problem and you like find this startup idea, you start working on this and it's like going really well. You will spend, if it's going really well, you will spend probably like next few years building
Right.
this. So you should double think if I really like it, if I will enjoy doing this for the next 5, 10 years. If not, if the answer is no, probably you should rethink your idea and rethink your industry where you're working.
So if we close this question, so it is like you shouldn't have to overthink first, just try to find the idea, the problem that you really want to solve, and then like it will not take a lot of time to create the MVP, like in less than 1 week. Like 1 week is too much.
Yeah, 1 week is it's like between 1 to 2 weeks. If it's taking you more than 2 weeks to create MVPs, then you're going too high. Then you should like remove some features and like rethink how you can make it simpler. Because
Right.
essentially you can, if you like think about all startup ideas which currently exist in the market, all these like millions, billions companies, you can replicate their ideas, their MVP within 1, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, like, it's all come to don't waste extra time to validate it. And like regarding the overthinking, just again, because I was to like spend a lot of time just thinking about this idea or what should I build. But you cannot like essentially cannot do like this and have this like amazing idea and like solve anything. You should just learn stuff. Like if you like going to engineering, keep learning engineering, keep learning coding. If you like go to the business side, keep learning this. If you like growth doing marketing, you should like focus on this and just like always kind of see where people struggle. See when your friends say, "Oh, I wish someone would solve this," or I wish this problems wouldn't exist," or "I hate this." You should focus on the keywords on your daily lives. Sooner or later, you will find something that you really like and that you really think can like change the world.
Yeah. So like in less than 1 month, you can just build your MVP. You can work on the marketing side. You can take the sign up from the users as well through the social medias and all. So it is very much possible to do so, right? And so the one thing a lot of people think like if we need any degree to build a startup, I know the answer, like no, of course, but just wanted to know from you.
That's a really great question. I think definitely no, people don't need a degree to build something in this world. Essentially, I wouldn't recommend you to go to university if you want to build a startup because university doesn't teach this at all. Even if you like go to the Harvard, Stanford, it doesn't teach you. So if I would like back like take the time back, I wouldn't go to university at all. I dropped out from my second year in Czech Republic because I didn't enjoy it, because it was too easy, because they didn't teach a lot. And it was one of the best colleges for like coding. And then I moved to US. So I don't really think you should go to university if you want to build a startup. It is great for social experience. It is great for discipline if you don't have it to learn it. But if you want to build a startup, I don't think you should have a degree. And you can easily do a startup while you're still studying, and you can start a startup without a degree as well.
Like, agree. Like if you're thinking, okay, by doing some degree, you will learn how to build a startup, then the answer is no.
No, no, definitely no. Like, if you want to learn how to do a startup, you can join another startup and be in this environment for a
Right.
while. Yeah, there are like two groups of people. One group tell you that you should join some big corporations, big startup before doing your. And I totally disagree with you with this opinion. I think that the easiest way to build a startup is just try and learn during the improvisation, during the process. Of course, you cannot start like, from super scratch. You still should know some like whether be good in engineering or like in some kind of area, but you don't essentially need to be in this like big company like Amazon or Google or like some in big YC startup. You can start without that easily. It just all comes to your motivation and how you willing you to learn during the process, because you will have to learn always every day.
Right, right. Okay, Yuri, the last question. So what do you think the best place to build startup?
You mean like the country, the location?
Country, city, what do you think? Okay, here I can get users, here I can get the real feedback and all.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think definitely yes. And the reason, there are a lot of reasons for this, but the biggest one is like in US you have this pool of talented people who changing the world. When you think about innovations, you always think about US because in US innovations are born and they kind of spread out in the other world. Also, if you like compare US and Europe, where I came from, right? In Europe, people make decisions super slow, and I just don't like it. Like I quit from my CTO job because in my startup we were like co-founders were making decisions really slow, and I don't like it. You cannot really move fast like in Europe. They have a lot of regulations. It's super hard to do anything. I don't say there are a lot of successful startups in Europe, but if you want to have the best country where to start, US is the best place in terms of like investing, in terms of like VCs, in terms of like finding talented people, and just like there are a lot of opportunities. People, especially in US or like New York, people just like talk like during the street, during in coffee chats, they like talking about startups, VC and stuff. And by being in this environment, you can learn 10 times more just by like imagine you speaking with your roommate and it is some VC or like it is some another like co-founder, right? And you can learn in this environment faster and better.
Yeah, I mean, I also love SF, and I also love, the most importantly, I love the energy of that place. Like everyone is building something and everyone is trying to do something great, and that's the great environment to be. Right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Yuri. I know we have lot of things to share, but it's already 40 minutes and we have to wrap it up. So any final thing that you wanted to say or any advice to the people or anything, your life motto or something like that?
True. I always tell that people shouldn't be afraid to fail and they should start boldly. And by this, I mean you should just be start brave, start fresh, and you will learn in the process.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. So, Yuri, thank you so much for coming and thank you so much for saying yes to this podcast. And I
Thank you,
really,
Monica, for your time, and I super excited to be here.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, so see you in next podcast. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, guys.